All right, welcome back. We're here with Maestro Stevens, and he's going to be giving us a wonderful presentation on something that we're all sort of navigating in our own way. There's a lot of shifts in the economy and the behavioral patterns of companies doing massive layoffs and people hiring now people that are equipped with AI skills. So Maestro is going to give us a presentation on responsible AI for educators and entrepreneurs in the creator economy. I hope you can derive as much benefit from his wisdom as I have in the previous session. The floor is yours, Maestro.
Well, thank you, Joaquin. I appreciate that. We are going to have some fun. Hopefully, you guys are here to be edutained. Shout outs to Swarm. And yes, as Joaquin just said, this is about being responsible when it comes with AI, and specifically for educators and entrepreneurs. And the word creator economy, that can kind of be misinterpreted, or it has a lot of different meanings behind it. But let's just say if you're a creator, meaning you create something, you do something, this is applicable to you as well. So before we do that, I want to shout out to everybody in the audience. Thank you for joining. We are going to get this party started. First, I just want to kind of lay the land a little bit for those who don't know me, haven't heard of me. I'm probably one of the only people you know with the actual first name Maestro, so you probably shouldn't forget me. I am 101. I'm an international speaker, a webmaster, and an owner of my creative agency, The Iconic Expressions. I have over 10 years of experience, going on 11 years when it comes to consulting, branding, website development, and when it comes to technology. I am an avid fan of technology, hence AI. And when it comes to technology, I love to use it to help with cooking, with learning, with networking and traveling, and with parenthood. And that's something that I definitely want to kind of touch on or add into, and I kind of do it on the fly because I think it's something that we often don't think about. And as educators, we are educating the kids, the children. And so I'm using AI to help educate my daughter. I'm using AI to help me get into fatherhood. So I have to be responsible with how I'm using AI. And last but not least, under my brand, Iconic Templates, I'm currently working on a AI powered, like Stewie power. I'll do it one more time. So AI powered app, brand webmaster app to be specific, for content creators and solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, just people who don't have a big team. I'm thinking about it. If you stick to the end, I might give you all a sneak peek at what that looks like, but you got to stick to the end. All right. All right. So, on our agenda, because I like to keep it simple, I have seen the other presenters and speakers, not just from this event, from previous event. And what I love about it is we complement each other. I love that people give more technical details in their presentation, and in their speaking abilities. I like to be a little bit more practical and simple. I like to dumb it down a little bit. You know what I mean? Like put it in that C grade student. You feel me? Have y'all know about that C grade student level talk? That's what we gonna do today, y'all. So the agenda is the current state of AI, responsible implementation, some of my final thoughts, and then the best part, the part that I like more than anything. I'm telling y'all, I like it more than peanut butter and jelly with sugar. No, that's my daughter. She like that. But Q&A, the questions and the answers, that's what y'all came here for. And I want to answer as much as I can. Matter of fact, this is going to be a conversation. And I wish I can see the thing, but I can't see the chat. So I know Joaquin does his thing pretty well when it comes to moderating. So y'all throw y'all questions because this is supposed to be a conversation. I just don't want to be talking y'all ears off the whole time. All right? Cool. Some quick objectives. I said objective. I hate that word. You ever have a word that when you said it a million times and then you say it one time? Like there was one time I got stuck on the word the. Like I couldn't say the word the. I don't know what it was. But some objectives are we're going to learn to implement AI responsibly in education and business. We're going to explore strategies for transparent and unbiased AI use. And then just go over leveraging AI tools while protecting privacy and integrity. of ourselves. That's a key thing that we want to do, whether it's for us, our business, who are representing. Integrity and protection is key. Okay, so I just want you all to know that. Let's just stick here for about a minute or two, because this is probably going to be the only stat that I'm going to show and share in this whole presentation. Like I said, I didn't want to overwhelm y'all with stats and well, obviously we're going to say facts, right? But not all these numbers and stuff. But this one right here is really big because this sets the tone, and this is what I love. 65%, around 65% of teachers in higher education utilize AI technology or technologies, plural, for academic work. About 98% of small businesses are using AI-enabled tools, with 91% believing that AI will facilitate future growth, and that was from the US Chamber of Commerce. So the way that I interpret that, because for a while, that 98% that we see here, that was at like 70, 60. This 65% we see here, that was at like 2, 10. You all can see we are rapidly growing and adopting AI. It's not that slow as people predicted. Oh, it's going to be like Bitcoin, or it's going to be like the other stuff for cryptocurrency. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. And it ain't no slowing down. There's no slowing down. And I love the fact that teachers, educators, instructors, as well as small businesses, we all use it differently, but we're actually embracing the use of AI. And that's what I think is beautiful about this whole event, because the last one was about more like the generative AI aspect of things. And what I did like that Joaquin had said in the last presentation, he broke it down that that's how we're like interpreting AI as generative AI. But we are using these terms, and what I think is going to happen is we're going to get to a point where so many people are using AI, they're just calling it generative AI, and we're adopting to the use of AI, but we're not being responsible, we're not being active in how we're protecting the information or ourselves. So that's why I like this stat. I love this stat. I like it. I love it. I like it a lot. That was a Jim Carrey reference from Dumb and Dumber. But either way, this is huge. So just keep that in mind. This is the only number you're going to really see. All right. Too far ahead. This picture right here. This picture is one of my favorite images, and I like to give credit to the creators. So I don't like to steal people's thunder. We're going to show some thunder in a second. I don't like to steal people's thunder, because when you do, you are coming off as inauthentic. But this image right here is from another content creator on YouTube, goes by the name of AI Advantage. And he created this platform tier list. This is a December update. This is the most recent one. So for those of y'all who don't know which ones are the most popular, which ones are at the top of the creme de la creme, you have the chart right here. This is a updated chart of popular AI tools. And the question is that I want you to ask yourself is, which of these tools are actually practicing or applying really good protection, privacy, security measures? Because just because they're popular does not mean that they are protected or protecting you. Another thing that I'm going to emphasize in this presentation is that if you are not paying for the professional version, you are the product. And so you don't have as much protection as those who would be paying for the version. Let's just keep it all the way real, y'all, because I know somebody right now is like, Maestro, what you talking about? We don't want you to talk about that stuff right there. So I'm going to say this. I know you're thinking like,
You're crazy. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you. But you're crazy.
little cuckoo, right? See, we got to think differently, y'all. So looking at this chart, again, just remember, these are the popular applications. There's way more apps and tools out there that we're using AI with, more specifically generative AI. But who is being responsible? Just because they're popular, don't make them better. So that's key. I'll tell you myself, I use the tools in the top list right here. S stands for superb or super. And I typically use these tools right here, and I pay for them so that way I do have more protection with my data. Some of y'all out there just being cheap. And I'm like, how you gonna be cheap? You talk about, but yet you want to be cheap. That don't make no sense. So, what are some key concerns when it comes to ethical considerations in using AI and be responsible? I would love for you all to put some of those in the chat. I left this a little empty because privacy, transparency, bias. What else in the chat? Just put it in the chat. I'm sure I'll see it in a second here or in a minute. But what else are some key concerns that you have when it comes to AI and being responsible and private and the privacy measures around it? I'm just curious. What are some of your key concerns? Because there are ethical considerations that we need to address when it comes to this. And then there are responsibilities. Now, here's the thing. The key concerns could be used interchangeably with the responsibilities when you really look at it. This is one of my favorite images. For those of you all who know this image right here, if you know the movies, this was a pinnacle in cinematic history. I'll give you a hint. Marvel cinematic history. Something happened here similar to what I believe AI. So what happened to AI? Something happened here that changed the course of everything moving forward. All right? If you know this scene right here, if you know the movie this is from, put it in the chat. But when it comes to responsibilities, we have autonomy, we have inclusivity, we have sustainability, and we have fairness. These are things, and this is not an exhaustive list. These words again, right? The whole word thing. This is not an exclusive list, right? There are so many other terms that we could use when it comes to the responsibility. Again, we are considering the ethicalness of, is it a word? Ethicalness? We're considering the ethics. That's better. That's better. The ethics of being responsible using AI. And what I love, again, about this image, because what you're seeing here is Captain America's shield. By now, if you haven't put it in the chat what this is from, I'm going to have to spoil. If you have, what, spoiler alert? That's what the kids be saying? Listen, spoiler alert, all right? This is Captain America. That's his shield. And we have to shield ourselves, our loved ones, our students. We have to shield our attendees, right? And then we got to bring the thunder. Remember how I said I was going to bring the thunder before? Then we got to bring the thunder. I'm going to bring back Stewie again.
Now, I empower.
That's how you do it. Empower. Let's talk about some best practices and some tips. So I just want to give you guys just a little bit of that juice, a little bit of that sauce, that secret sauce. I want you all to set some clear objectives when it comes to the educational aspect of using AI. Now, this can be used across the board, but we're here for more of the education and the entrepreneurial, even though they can be used interchangeably. When it comes to education, setting clear objectives, especially with these kids, especially with your programming, is going to be something huge, because the less that it's clear, there's going to be more room or margin for error. So that's number one right there. Then we want to balance AI with some core skills. Why would I say that? Why do we need to balance it out with some core skills? Because if you're a parent or entrepreneur or educator, there really ain't no balance of life. If you all three, I feel bad for you. But if you are looking to really get these kids involved with AI, you have to incorporate the skills they already have. You can't just be making them use AI with new skills, because they're still developing a lot of cognitive, what's that term? Cognitive something. Somebody else put it in the chat. I'll look at it later. But they have to develop these mannerisms, these behaviors, the fundamental aspects of them becoming an adult. So you have to blend the AI with that. Then we have to go back to addressing those ethical considerations, right? So we're going to run it back. We're going to bring it back. We have to think about the morality. We have to think about morals and values. Is it right what you're doing? Because there are some people out there that are probably using AI for the wrong reasons, and they're teaching kids with AI for the wrong reasons. That ain't cool. One of my favorite movies was Broken Arrow with John Travolta. And one of the lines in the movie, he was like, "Ain't it cool?" I'm a 90s baby. I'm a 90s baby, even though I was born in 87. So y'all gonna hear some references, all right? Then we have providing continuous feedback. We have to have the ability to get continuous feedback. These kids are talking. And that's one thing I did notice, and this was off the fly, right? I did notice this. When it comes to the word responsible, we have the word response, right? Response. And when I think of providing continuous feedback, response, responding, responsible, all right? These are things that we have to think about when it comes to using AI with the kids. And then last but not least, staying informed. You got to stay informed. You got to know the do's, the don'ts, and you got to keep these kids informed too. You got to keep your programs. You got to keep the systems, the curriculums. You have to keep all these things informed, because if you don't, you might get outdated. It's just like any other situation where a virus can come if you're not updating your software in time, right? So you have to think about those things. More privacy considerations here. So you see this person, and again, this is a person. This is a non-gender. You know, it could be a man, woman, anything other. This is not a single. This is not saying that people are creepers, you know, or whoever. This is just the fact that if you're not protecting the kids, if you're not protecting these kids, there is somebody, no matter who they are, there's somebody that's looking through the window. There is bots looking through the window. So it's not always people. Sometimes it's actually other technologies that are trying to take a sneak peek through the blinders, right, of what it is you're doing with the AI. And then they can infiltrate the system. And next thing you know, you're in trouble. And well, I was going to start singing, uh-oh, we're in trouble. That was a Power Rangers reference, but I'm like, let me skip that one right there. But what you don't want to do is have a situation where you're allowing people to sneak or take a peek. I'm going to give y'all a sneak peek of the app, but you don't want people doing that when it comes to your AI. So you have to have these protection measures in place, and you specifically need to be thinking about the privacy considerations when it comes to education. And this is something that you should be implementing across the board. Do not let this go. I think it's going to get very, very, that's my theory. This is my opinion right here. It's going to get very, very dangerous here in the near future, because these kids are coming out the womb with iPhones. Yes, they are. And they're going to be coming out the womb with the artificial intelligence version, the Apple AI, which I can't even get because my phone is. Who here is mad at Apple? Who here has more than 3 or 4 Apple devices, but because they ain't got the latest and greatest, they can't get the Apple Intelligence? Some quick guidelines. Some of y'all can take a snap picture, but this is just a process flow chart when it comes to the entrepreneurial aspect of implementation. First, we want to identify some touch points. And this is a list that, hey, you can interchange or take out certain words. I just want to give you some ideas. But first, we want to identify AI touch points. We want to visualize the AI integration. Then we may want to automate those tasks, let those tasks help us provide some insights that will allow us to improve our decision-making process, and then we can enhance. But it all starts with what? Identifying the touch points. We have to identify before we go and try. And I made it up on the fly. Do you feel me? You know what? I'm gonna give myself a Don DeMarco for that one. We gonna give a Don DeMarco. For entrepreneurial or entrepreneur implementation, when we think about data, this is, I would say, and this goes back. I'm gonna take it back. We're gonna take it back. When I said a lot of y'all are taking the cheap way out. You can't do that if you want to have the protection that you're desiring, but you also still want to use the AI, because some of y'all don't want to be doing no hiring. You need to be paying that $20 for the professional version. A lot of that will help you, because typically they say, if you pay, we won't train our models. I think that that's what people are mostly, the average person, the average Joe or Jane are afraid of. The models getting trained. So we want to make sure everything is locked up, secure. There's like a fingerprint technology. There's so much happening when it comes to our data that we need to be careful, especially as entrepreneurs. But my one advice without making things overcomplicated, just pay for the tool. Pay for it. And if you're that afraid, don't use the free version. This stuff costs, y'all. It costs money. Shout out to Joaquin, because I know this wasn't free either. But here's a couple quick steps to success. Step one, prepare. Do your due diligence, like the identifying the touch points. If you are a teacher, before you even start implementing AI, what have you done as far as the research, not just research on the AI, but research on the kids on how they can incorporate their core skills with the AI? Then we want to implement. We want to implement what we have prepared. See, some people make this overly complicated with like 10, 20, 57 steps. Half of y'all can't even get to step 1 or 2. So we have to prepare first, then we can implement. And after that, and only after that, we can think about improving. And that's why I'm calling this a simplified AI implementation framework. Now, what's beautiful about the following presenter, she's gonna break more things down from more of a technical aspect that you guys are going to enjoy. I'm very, very, very sure. But I wanted to give you guys a simplistic way of looking at how to be responsible with AI, especially if you're an educator or entrepreneur. And my final thoughts when it comes to education and entrepreneurship, outside of the fact that don't be cheap, I want you all to think about what it is you're going to do moving forward to initiate. Keyword is initiate. To initiate your journey on not just using AI, but using AI in a way where where you're creating less opportunity for exposure, for negative exposure. Because exposure can be good. Don't get me wrong. Exposure can be great, right? As speakers, we're getting exposure on the Swarm platform. But negative exposure, that's a whole different scenario. So if you are an educator, if you're an entrepreneur, most likely you're in between, that's content creation. That's why I said content creators, that goes both ways. Create the content, use the tools, use the AI, more particularly generative AI for normal, most people, but that exposure piece. How are you going to create a plan to not expose yourself or expose others? See, some of us don't even think about that. Who am I exposing while using this AI tool? That's what I want to leave y'all with. And I told y'all if y'all stay to the end, I'll give you a little sneak peeky of this new AI app that I'm creating. It's an early mock-up. It's an early mock-up phase. And I never was gonna do this before. This is last minute. Usually I'd be scared, but it's an app I'm calling Brandabee. And because this is Swarm and I rocks with it, like I rocks with Joaquin, I'm like, you know what? I trust this. I trust y'all as an audience, right? It's pronounced Brandabee. And this is going to be an AI-powered webmaster app that I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm following my own best practices, that I'm being responsible, because we're gonna be storing information and helping entrepreneurs leverage their business online. So if you wanna follow me, you can take a snapshot, got all the information here. That's pretty much it. Thank you very much.
Oh man, every time I hear you talk, man, it's always a pleasure. You're always dripping with personality and insight, and you're very lucid with your explanations. I really appreciate you showing up today.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me again. Sometimes I'm a little bit too much, so a person's like, "Nah, I can't handle that, Maestro." But you like, I'm gonna embrace that, so I appreciate it.
Too much? No, we need more of this. You need to infect everybody with this energy, man.
And shout out to Jess, though. By the way, I want to let everybody know
She
she
was loving
introduced us. So shout outs to Jess.
she was loving those sound effects too. So there are responses from you prompting the audience. People are concerned about accountability, compliance, robustness, the explainability element. We have here CPT is saying, is AI biased? That's one of his main concerns.
Yes, it can be.
Sustainability as well. I mean, there's a lot of things. Whenever you talk AI, as expansive as the word is, so are the factors involved with it, and being able to come up with a very scientific or proper explanation. But yeah, we can all agree that AI currently is very wasteful. resource wise.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's some statistics around BlackRock. Not sure if we want to go over that right now.
Oh, they try to go deep. Huh?
Debbie brought something interesting up. The recent news about character AI. Every day, one of these companies announces new features, but you don't see a lot about what they are doing for safety, bias, etc. How do you make sure that students see the bad side and not just get wrapped up in the exciting things that they can do with video, text, etc.?
Scare them straight. I'm just joking. That's some old school parenting stuff. You know, back in the day, they would scare kids straight. Like, I'm gonna take my kid to jail so he can see, so they don't never go to jail. Like sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to pacify. You got to figure out what you need to do for you. But I do think that creating scenarios. You know,
Mm.
kids love to play games. They love scenarios. If you can create little scenarios, this is what would happen. What would happen if, da, 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 and then you play those games so they can see and picture it. I think that will help children, at least the ones that I talk to, I work with, that helps them picture things.
I like to put them in a position where they are the hero in a story, and I put them through two different scenarios. Like, you know, if Billy went this way, Joe went that way. He went the good path. That person went the bad path, and then compare and contrast the consequences of their actions.
Good.
Um, so we have another comment. The new technology is Meta AI already coming like a conductor to orchestrate different AIs to communicate with each other. Huge, powerful to generate data across disciplines. So I think this is a like an orchestration tool for agentic AI. But I think more pertinent to this discussion, I think you've outlined a series of concerns that are the basis of building a business model that is reliable, right? If you are engaging in commerce and you're developing something, but you're not practicing safe procedures, risk management, um, everything you create is just going to evaporate. As soon as something changes, they're going to sweep the rug underneath you.
Yep.
Um, how are you building your moat? How are you building a way to apart from keeping yourself safe and paying for these tools and abstaining from sharing your data? What are some other strategies that you can share that keep you sharp and ahead of the curve?
Staying ahead, making sure I'm watching influencers, staying up to date with like the Meta AI. That was something new, but staying up to date with actual tools. If you have to bookmark some things, or just watch one person, watch one channel, one or two channels for people, because there are news outlets like influencers that are like basically new news outlets for AI. Outside of like paying for the tool, staying ahead of the curve, up to date, maybe create your own guidelines. Use the AI to create your own guidelines. So, and I know people have heard terms like custom instructions and things like that. So it's like you got to create your own set of custom instructions. Like this is what I will and won't do. We won't put this information, this data, because nobody can stop you. I'll put it like that. You have to stop you from making these mistakes.
In the previous presentation, you gave us a 2-hour deep dive into all the different tools that you use from the free version to the paid version and the different use cases and some workflows and demonstrations. I mean, that's just 2 hours. If you really want to get your hands dirty, as you're saying, nobody can really stop you. You just have to make sure that you're reading and keeping yourself informed and abstaining from using sensitive data, your social security number, your girlfriend or boyfriend's weight,
Some
their
obvious things
age.
you didn't even
uh,
think would be obvious.
but yeah, don't do math calculations or base legal decisions on the advice that you get from these things.
But I will say real quickly, and so because I know we're going to time, because you just made a good point. But I will play a little bit of devil's advocate, only because I am using, and I'm going to share my story once I win. I am using AI to help me litigate, to represent myself for custody. And so I'm making sure I'm being responsible for it, to like you said, because it can give you some things that are hallucinate. At the same time, if you don't use it, then you lose it. And so I would rather use it to help me get to my daughter than be scared. And then next thing, because of that, my scared, now I don't have the ability to be with my child. And I know there's other people out there like that. So there are ways that you have to think, okay, can I still use this, be responsible? there's risk in everything. So if anybody's trying to avoid risk, you're in the wrong game. We mitigate risk. We don't avoid it.
Right.
Teacher, entrepreneur.
Yeah, no, you're right. The complex answer that nobody wants to hear is yes, it depends. Can you use it for any situation? Yes, it depends. If it's for the fuzzy creative brainstorming, you're talking to your friends and you want to come up with some fresh ideas, it's relevant to do that. But can you go and execute the idea blindly? Hell no. Go and do your research, hit the library, talk to a lawyer, talk to a doctor, talk to whomever is an expert that has spent 10, 20 years doing the thing, and then you can rely on that decision, or at least filter through the negative aspects of that hypothesis. But
Best of both
Maestro,
worlds.
again, it's always a pleasure, and it's not the first, it's not the second. I mean, it's the second time. It's
Won't be the
never going to be
last.
the last. We're going to keep going. You're not going to get rid of me. So
Me
thank
too.
you again.
Shout outs to you. I got to give you a shout out today. For those of y'all who don't know, this is a hardworking man. I just met him and he works his butt off. So I'm grateful for him. And shout outs to Jessica. She's going to give y'all a great presentation. All right.
See you guys.